have a lot less confidence that the U.S. Supreme Court will decide that Donald Trump should be disqualified from the ballot, given that conservative majority on that court.
As much as we want to kind of divorce it and think about the Supreme Court as this kind of objective body that is, we all can sit here at the table and know that the Supreme Court is not that right now. The Supreme Court has been politicized. The Supreme Court has 3 Donald Trump appointees on it.
Questioning the legitimacy of the Supreme Court is now a cottage industry on the left, all designed to delegitimize the Supreme Court. Now that the court will decide if Donald Trump can be on the ballot, it's an overdrive, like Santa's elves right before Christmas. And it's working. The Supreme Court approval is at a record low. Only 40% of Americans trust it, a huge drop from 60% back in 2000, the last time the court picked our president. And yes, Republicans appointed 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices. But here's what you didn't hear about yesterday when the Colorado Supreme Court ruled Trump couldn't be on the ballot. Democrats appointed all 7 justices on that tribunal. And still 3 of them, including that court's chief justice, appointed by a Democrat, said the claim of Trump inciting insurrection and therefore disqualified under the 14th Amendment didn't work. Here now, former law clerk for Justice Antonin Scalia, Ian Samuel. And Ian, you're in an unusual position, right? Scalia was incredibly conservative, but you were the liberal clerk. You were always the dissenting clerk that he hired to make sure it made everybody smarter in the office, something I always admired about the late justice. I know you did too. Why do you think it's only mentioned about the makeup politically of a court when that court is conservative?
Well, I don't know if it's only mentioned in that context. There is one interesting difference between the Colorado Supreme Court's partisan makeup and the partisan makeup of the United States Supreme Court. And Colorado is my home state, so you'll have to forgive the inside baseball knowledge that this represents. I'm not just this much of a nerd. But Republicans have not won a governor's race in Colorado for an extremely, extremely long time. The state party is highly dysfunctional. And so because the governorship has been controlled by the Democratic Party for so long, they've had the opportunity to nominate all 7 of those justices. The problem, I think, with the Supreme Court of the United States is because the members of the Supreme Court serve for life and vacancies arise essentially at random. I mean, these are old people and just sometimes they die at different times. You can get a situation where, for example, President Trump gets 3 Supreme Court nominations in his first, term. President Obama gets 2 Supreme Court nominations in his first term, none in the second term. And then you have presidents like Carter who get 0 during their term. It's essentially random. And so even though Democrats have won the national elections at the same clip as Republicans for quite some time, they don't have anything like that kind of representation on the Supreme Court. And that makes the court feel out of step with what Americans have voted for in terms of control of their national government. And that is a real problem. People in Colorado can say, well, yeah, we've got a Democrat-dominated court. That's what we voted for. And that's true.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And now we're entering into this phase where sort of courts are politically motivated. I thought it was interesting that there was so little given to the dissent in the Colorado Supreme Court, written by a Democrat, the Chief Justice. In the absence of an insurrection-related conviction, I would hold that a request to disqualify a candidate under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is not a proper cause of action under Colorado's election code. Therefore, I would dismiss the claim at issue here. And I think there's a lot of people who think that Donald Trump did very bad and wrong things, but fear the precedent this sets. Peter Meyer, who is a Republican who voted to impeach Donald Trump, former member of Congress. If Trump's rhetorical culpability for January 6 qualifies, similar lawsuits against Democratic politicians who encourage BLM rioters will swiftly follow. Was Kamala Harris giving aid or comfort when she fundraised bail money for rioters? You can imagine where this would go. And look, when you were on the Supreme Court, and still to this day, it's a pretty insular world. And I'm wondering how much fear there is right now among people who love the court, whether they're on the left or on the right, about it's being put center stage in politics and being delegitimized, no matter how it rules, by both sides.
I think that there are, especially members of the court, who are extremely sensitive to that concern and really don't want the institution to be thrust into partisan politics in the way that it has now inevitably been. Because there are some issues where you could say, well, the court should let the people decide. But on an issue like this, where you have a lower state Supreme Court that has said that, a major candidate is going to be ineligible for the ballot, the Supreme Court can't really just, kick the decision to the political branches. It has to participate. what I think will be appealing, at least to people like the Chief Justice, who's very concerned with institutional legitimacy and so on, is some kind of solution that allows the court to sort of, at the most, to the greatest extent it can, seem like it's not making a partisan decision. Here's one possibility. The court also has before it the question of whether President Trump is officially immune for prosecution for the events of January 6th, and the events leading to the special counsel's indictment in D.C. The former president said that he is officially immune from that criminal prosecution at all. One outcome you could imagine from all of this is to say, well, he's not disqualified from the ballot, but he's also not immune from criminal prosecution either. If you want this guy to be your president, you can vote for him, and if the jury believes he's guilty, they can convict him. I don't know if that's the right result legally, but it sounds good, doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of sound good?
You bring up a great point, that the horse trading that can occur in the chambers, if you will, around the table, is something I think a lot of people wouldn't consider because they don't have the experience you do. Ian, it's good to see you. Thank you for a great year of conversation. We'll see you in 2024, my friend. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.